The dance floor cleared as Mark took his daughter's hand. Tears glistened in his eyes as they swayed together, father and daughter, while Emma beamed up at him from her wheelchair. The wedding guests watched in awe as he knelt down, meeting her at eye level, their foreheads touching as they shared this moment that once seemed impossible. But to understand how they got here, how a chance meeting at a playground changed everything, you'll need to hear their whole story. If you're touched by what you're about to witness, please hit that like button and subscribe to see more stories that remind us of the power of human connection. Sometimes life's most beautiful chapters begin with what seems like an ending. Mark Reynolds stared at the pile of unpaid bills on his kitchen counter, the harsh fluorescent light making the red "Final Notice" stamp seem even more threatening. 3 years as a single dad had taught him many things, but financial stability remained elusive. His daughter Emma's laughter echoed from the living room where she was watching cartoons, blissfully unaware of their precarious situation. At 34, Mark hadn't imagined this would be his life. His wife Caitlin's sudden death from an aneurysm had left him a widower with a 4-year-old daughter. Now, at 7, Emma was the center of his universe, his reason for waking up each morning, for pushing through 12-hour shifts at the construction site, for keeping their small apartment as warm and loving as possible despite the emptiness Caitlin had left behind. "Daddy, can we go to the park?" Emma called out, her voice pulling him from his thoughts. Mark glanced at his watch. It was Saturday, his only day off, and though the bills demanded his attention, Emma's childhood was slipping by too quickly. "Sure, sweetheart. Get your jacket." The local playground was bustling with weekend activity. Mark sat on a bench, watching Emma climb the jungle gym with fearless determination. His phone buzzed, another email from his landlord about the late rent. He sighed, pocketing the device. Today was for Emma. "Daddy, watch me." Emma called from the top of the slide. As Mark looked up, smiling and giving her a thumbs up, he noticed a woman sitting alone on a bench across the playground. She was watching the children play with a wistful expression, her wheelchair positioned to catch the autumn sunlight. Something about her solitude resonated with him, a familiar loneliness he recognized all too well. Emma came running over, cheeks flushed with excitement. "Can I go on the swings now?" "Of course, but I need to push you, remember?" As they headed toward the swings, Emma suddenly veered off course, running directly toward the woman in the wheelchair. "Emma!" Mark called, hurrying after her. By the time he reached them, Emma was already mid-conversation with the stranger. "And my daddy can push me really high, but not too high because it's dangerous," Emma was saying. The woman laughed, a warm sound that seemed to brighten the air around them. "That sounds wonderful. Your daddy must be very strong." "He is." Emma nodded enthusiastically. "He builds buildings." Mark finally caught up, slightly out of breath. "I'm so sorry about that." Emma knows she's not supposed to run off. The woman looked up at him, and Mark felt something shift in his chest. Her eyes were a deep brown, framed by laugh lines that suggested a life of finding joy despite difficulties. "No need to apologize," she said. "We were having a lovely chat about swing safety." "I'm Mark," he said, extending his hand. "And you've already met my daughter, Emma." "Olivia," she replied, her handshake firm and warm. "It's nice to meet you both." Emma tugged at Mark's sleeve. "Can Olivia come watch me on the swings, Daddy?" Mark hesitated, not wanting to impose, but Olivia was already maneuvering her wheelchair. "I'd love to, if that's okay with your dad," she said. They moved toward the swings together, Emma skipping ahead. "She's wonderful," Olivia commented. "So full of life." "She's my whole world," Mark admitted. "Has been since her mom passed away 3 years ago." Olivia's expression softened. "I'm so sorry." "Thank you. It's been a journey." Mark found himself surprised by his openness with this stranger. "What about you? Do you come to the park often?" "I teach 3rd grade at Westfield Elementary," she explained. Sometimes I come here on weekends to remember why I love teaching, watching kids just be kids. As Mark pushed Emma on the swing, he and Olivia continued talking. He learned she had been in a car accident 5 years ago that left her paralyzed from the waist down. She spoke about it matter-of-factly, without self-pity. The hardest part wasn't learning to live in a wheelchair, she told him. It was dealing with how people suddenly saw me differently, like I was fragile or incomplete. Mark nodded, understanding more than she might have expected. After Caitlin died, people looked at me differently too. Like I was broken. Maybe I was, but Emma needed me to be whole. The afternoon passed quickly. When it was time to leave, Emma insisted on giving Olivia a hug. "Will you be here next Saturday?" Emma asked hopefully. Olivia glanced at Mark, a question in her eyes. "We come every Saturday," he said, surprising himself with the invitation implicit in his words. "Then I might see you next week," Olivia replied with a smile. That night, after tucking Emma into bed, Mark found himself thinking about Olivia. There had been something refreshing about her presence, no pity, no awkward attempts to fix his life, just genuine conversation and laughter. It had been so long since he'd connected with another adult that way. The week dragged by. Construction work was physically demanding, and the foreman had been pushing them to meet a tight deadline. By Friday, Mark was exhausted, his muscles aching from hauling materials up scaffolding all day. Emma noticed his fatigue as he made dinner. "Are you sick, Daddy?" she asked, her small face creased with worry. "Just tired, sweetheart," he assured her. "Nothing to worry about. Will we still go to the park tomorrow? To see Olivia?" Mark hesitated. He hadn't promised anything, and Olivia might not even be there. "We'll see, okay?" Emma's face fell slightly, but she nodded. That night, Mark lay awake, staring at the ceiling. His thoughts drifted to Olivia, her easy laugh, the way she spoke to Emma as a person rather than just a child, how she navigated the world with such grace despite its obstacles. He realized he wanted to see her again, and the recognition of that desire both excited and terrified him. Saturday morning arrived with Emma bouncing on his bed at an ungodly hour. "Park day, Daddy. Park day." Mark groaned but couldn't help smiling at her enthusiasm. Okay. Let's have breakfast first." They arrived at the playground mid-morning. Mark tried not to look too obviously for Olivia, but Emma had no such reservations. "I don't see her," Emma said, disappointment evident in her voice as she scanned the park. "She might be busy today," Mark explained gently. "Remember, we didn't actually make plans." They played for an hour, swings, slides, monkey bars, but Emma's heart wasn't fully in it. As they were about to leave, Mark heard someone call his name. Olivia was approaching, her wheelchair moving smoothly along the paved path. She wore a red scarf that brightened her face, her cheeks pink from the cool air. "Olivia!" Emma shouted, running toward her. Mark followed more slowly, his heart inexplicably racing. "I'm sorry I'm late," Olivia said when he reached them. "Parent-teacher conferences ran over yesterday, and I overslept." The fact that she'd considered their casual mention of meeting again as an actual plan made Mark smile. "We're just glad you made it." They spent another afternoon together, this time venturing beyond the playground to a nearby cafe when the temperature dropped. Emma charmed the barista into giving her extra whipped cream on her hot chocolate, while Mark and Olivia sipped coffee and continued where their conversation had left off the previous week. "Do you miss teaching during summer breaks?" Mark asked. "Parts of it," Olivia admitted. "But I tutor kids who need extra help. It keeps me connected." "She could help me with my homework," Emma suggested, chocolate mustache adorning her upper lip. Mark wiped Emma's face with a napkin. "You're only in 2nd grade, kiddo. I think I can still handle your homework." "Actually," Olivia said hesitantly, "I have some great books for 2nd graders. If you'd like, Emma, I could lend you some. Emma's eyes widened. Yes, please. And just like that, a plan was made for the following weekend. Olivia would bring books, and they would meet at the cafe rather than the park if the weather turned cold. As they parted ways, Olivia paused. Mark, I just want to be clear about something. His stomach tightened. Here it comes, he thought. The gentle letdown. I enjoy spending time with you and Emma, she continued. But I need you to understand, this is me. She gestured to her wheelchair. This isn't temporary. This is my life now. Mark was taken aback. Olivia, I never thought. Most people do, she interrupted softly. They see the chair first, then me. Or they imagine some miracle where I'll walk again. I need you to see me as I am. Mark knelt down, bringing himself to her eye level. When I look at you, I see someone who made my daughter smile more in 2 afternoons than she has in months. I see someone who listens when I talk about Caitlin without getting uncomfortable. I see you, Olivia. Her eyes glistened slightly, and she nodded. Thank you. I'll see you next Saturday. As Mark watched her leave, Emma slipped her small hand into his. I like her, Daddy. Me too, sweetheart, he replied softly. Me too. Their Saturday meetings became a ritual. Sometimes they stayed at the park, other times they explored the city, museums with interactive children's exhibits, the aquarium, a puppet show at the library. Olivia knew all the wheelchair-accessible places and routes, navigating the city with confidence. Mark began to notice how the world wasn't built for someone like Olivia. The frustration of encountering a shop with steps and no ramp, the way some people stared or awkwardly avoided looking at her, the extra planning required for even simple outings. Yet Olivia faced these challenges with resilience and humor, never allowing them to diminish her joy. One rainy Saturday in November, they decided to have an indoor picnic at Olivia's apartment. Her place was a ground-floor unit, thoughtfully modified for accessibility without sacrificing style or comfort. Colorful artwork, much of it clearly created by her students, adorned the walls. While Emma explored Olivia's collection of children's books, Mark helped prepare lunch in the kitchen. You're good at this, Olivia commented as Mark efficiently chopped vegetables for a salad. Single parenting crash course, he replied with a smile. You either learn to cook or subsist on cereal and pizza. And which did you choose initially? Let's just say Emma knows every pizza delivery person in our neighborhood by name. They laughed, moving around the kitchen in comfortable synchrony. Mark found himself watching Olivia, the way she reached for ingredients, how she'd adapted her kitchen with lowered countertops and specialized tools. Her independence was impressive, but more than that, it was her spirit that drew him in. After lunch, while Emma napped on the couch, exhausted from their morning activities, Mark and Olivia sat at the kitchen table with mugs of tea. Can I ask you something personal? Mark ventured. Olivia nodded. Of course. After your accident, how did you find your way forward? She considered his question, tracing the rim of her mug with her finger. It wasn't linear. There were dark days, many of them. Days when I raged against what happened, when I couldn't see any future worth living. Mark nodded, understanding that kind of despair all too well. But eventually, she continued, I realized I had a choice. I could define myself by what I'd lost, or I could discover who I could still become. Teaching saved me. My students didn't care that I came to class in a wheelchair, they just wanted their Ms. Bennett back. You're remarkable, Mark said softly. Olivia shook her head. I'm not. I'm just stubborn. She paused, then asked, what about you? How did you find your way after Caitlin? Mark stared into his tea. I didn't have time to fall apart. Emma needed me. But sometimes, late at night, I still feel like I'm drowning. And other times? Other times. He looked toward the living room where Emma slept peacefully. Other times I realize that even with all the pain, I'm incredibly lucky to have her. Olivia reached across the table and took his hand. Her touch was warm, steady. You're a good father, Mark. I'm trying to be, he whispered. They sat in silence for a moment, hands connected, understanding flowing between them. Daddy? Emma's sleepy voice called from the living room. The moment broke, but something had shifted between them, a deepening of trust, of mutual recognition. As they prepared to leave later that afternoon, Emma hugged Olivia tightly. Can we come back next Saturday? Olivia looked to Mark, a question in her eyes. Actually, he said, gathering his courage, I was wondering if you might like to come to our place next weekend. I'm not as good a cook as you, but I make a mean spaghetti. Olivia's smile was radiant. I'd like that very much. Their relationship evolved naturally over the following months. Saturdays expanded to include Friday evening movies at Olivia's place or Sunday afternoon baking sessions at Mark's apartment. Emma flourished under Olivia's gentle guidance, her reading skills improving dramatically with the books Olivia carefully selected for her. Mark's financial situation remained precarious, but Olivia never seemed to mind their budget constraints. She found joy in simple pleasures, board games, walks in the park, impromptu living room dance parties where she would spin her wheelchair in circles while Emma twirled around her. By spring, Mark realized he was falling in love. The recognition terrified him. Since Caitlin's death, he'd built walls around his heart, focusing solely on Emma and survival. Olivia had slipped past those defenses so naturally he hadn't noticed until it was too late. One evening, after Emma had gone to bed, Mark sat on his worn couch beside Olivia, who had transferred from her wheelchair earlier. They were watching an old movie, but Mark couldn't focus on the screen. You're thinking very loudly, Olivia commented, turning to face him. Sorry, he said with a small smile. Just processing some things. Want to share? Mark took a deep breath. I'm scared, Olivia. Of what? Of how important you've become to us, to me. After Caitlin died, I promised myself I wouldn't be vulnerable like that again. Olivia's expression softened. Mark, none of us can promise we won't leave. Life doesn't offer those guarantees. I know, he whispered. That's what terrifies me. She took his hand, interlacing their fingers. What we can promise is to be fully present in the time we have. To choose each other every day we're given. Mark looked at their joined hands, her slender fingers between his calloused ones. When did you get so wise? Wheelchair comes with complimentary wisdom, she quipped, then grew serious again. I'm scared too, you know. Relationships are complicated enough without adding my limitations to the mix. Your wheelchair has never been an obstacle for me, Olivia. It's not just the chair, she said quietly. It's everything that comes with it. The medical appointments, the adaptations, the days when chronic pain makes it hard to even get out of bed. Do you think I'm not aware of those things after all these months? Being aware is different from signing up for a lifetime of it. Mark shifted to face her fully. Is that what you think I'm doing? Signing up for a burden? Olivia looked away. People have left for less. With gentle fingers, Mark turned her face back toward his. I'm not people, Olivia. I'm me. And I'm falling in love with you, all of you. Her eyes widened at his confession. Mark. You don't have to say anything, he assured her quickly. I just needed you to know where I stand. Instead of responding with words, Olivia leaned forward and kissed him. It was gentle. Instead of responding with words, Olivia leaned forward and kissed him. It was gentle at first, then deepened with the weight of everything unspoken between them. When they finally pulled apart, her eyes were shining with tears. I'm falling in love with you too, she whispered. And it terrifies me. Mark brushed a tear from her cheek. Then we'll be terrified together. Their relationship faced its first real test a month later when Mark lost his job. The construction company had lost a major contract, and as one of the newer employees, Mark was among the first let go. He sat at his kitchen table that evening, staring at the termination notice, panic rising in his chest. When Olivia arrived for their usual Friday movie night, she immediately sensed something was wrong. "Emma's at a sleepover," Mark explained, his voice hollow. "Mrs. Garcia from downstairs is watching her." "What happened?" Olivia asked, wheeling closer to him. Mark handed her the letter without a word. As she read it, her expression shifted from concern to determination. "Okay," she said finally. "This is a setback, but we'll figure it out." "We?" Mark questioned. "Olivia, this is my problem. I can't drag you into my financial mess." She fixed him with a steady gaze. "That's not how this works, Mark. When you care about someone, their problems become yours too." "I might have to move somewhere cheaper," he admitted. "Maybe even leave the city." "Then we'll look at options together," she insisted. "I have some savings. I could help until you find something else." Mark shook his head firmly. "I can't take your money." "It's not about the money," Olivia said, frustration edging into her voice. "It's about letting someone help you for once. You've been carrying everything alone since Caitlin died. You don't have to anymore." They argued late into the night, Mark's pride battling against Olivia's stubborn insistence that they face this challenge as a team. By morning, exhausted and emotionally drained, they reached a compromise. Mark would accept Olivia's help with job searching and networking, but not financial assistance unless absolutely necessary. The following weeks were tense. Mark took odd jobs, handyman work, night shifts at a warehouse, anything to keep the bills paid while he searched for permanent employment. Olivia helped by bringing dinner several nights a week and taking Emma to school on days when Mark worked late. Emma, perceptive as always, noticed the strain. "Are you and Olivia fighting?" she asked one evening as Mark tucked her into bed. "No, sweetheart," he assured her. "We're just dealing with some grown-up problems." "Is it because Daddy lost his job?" Emma persisted. "Billy at school said his parents fight about money all the time." Mark sighed, sitting on the edge of her bed. "It's complicated, Em. But I want you to know that Olivia and I both love you very much, and we're going to figure things out." "I know," Emma said with surprising confidence. "Olivia told me that families stick together when things get hard. We're kind of like a family now, aren't we?" Her innocent observation struck Mark deeply. Somehow, without him fully realizing it, the three of them had indeed become a family. The breakthrough came unexpectedly. One of Olivia's colleagues had a brother who managed a construction company specializing in accessible housing modifications. When he learned about Mark's experience and situation, he offered him a position as a project supervisor. "It's perfect," Olivia exclaimed when Mark called with the news. "You'd be helping make homes accessible for people like me." The job paid better than his previous position and offered more regular hours. For the first time in years, Mark felt financially secure. More importantly, he felt purposeful. His work now had meaning beyond just earning a paycheck. On his first payday, Mark took Olivia and Emma out to celebrate at a nice restaurant, nothing extravagant, but a significant step up from their usual budget-friendly outings. "I have something for you," he told Olivia after dinner, handing her a small box. She opened it to find a silver key. "What's this?" "A key to our apartment," Mark explained. "I know it's not much, but I want you to have it. To come and go as you please." Olivia held the key tightly, understanding the significance of the gesture. "Thank you." "There's something else," Mark continued, his voice growing serious. "These past few months have shown me how much stronger we are together. I don't want to waste any more time being afraid of what might happen." Emma watched them with wide eyes, sensing the importance of the moment. Olivia Bennet, Mark said, taking her hand, will you move in with us? Will you be part of our family, officially? Tears spilled down Olivia's cheeks. Are you sure? This is a big step. I've never been more sure of anything, Mark replied. We love you. Both of us. Emma nodded enthusiastically. Please say yes, Olivia. Olivia looked between them, this man and this child who had somehow become essential to her existence. Yes, she whispered. Yes to all of it. Merging their lives wasn't without challenges. Mark's apartment needed modifications to accommodate Olivia's wheelchair, wider doorways, an accessible bathroom, ramps. His new employer helped with the renovations at cost, turning the project into a training opportunity for new staff. Olivia's ground-floor apartment was actually more accessible, but it was too small for the three of them. They decided to start fresh, finding a modestly priced 3-bedroom house that they could adapt to their needs. Moving day arrived on a sweltering August afternoon. Friends from Olivia's school and Mark's new colleagues helped transport furniture and boxes. By evening, exhausted but happy, they sat among half-unpacked boxes, eating pizza on their new living room floor. Is this our forever home? Emma asked, sauce smeared across her chin. Mark and Olivia exchanged glances. What do you think? Mark asked Olivia. I think, she said thoughtfully, that home isn't really about the building. It's about the people you share it with. Emma considered this, then nodded sagely. So we're each other's forever home. Exactly, Olivia agreed, reaching out to squeeze Emma's hand. Later that night, after Emma had fallen asleep in her new bedroom surrounded by stuffed animals, Mark found Olivia on their back porch, gazing at the stars. Penny for your thoughts, he asked, sitting beside her. I was just thinking about how life takes unexpected turns, she replied. 5 years ago, after my accident, I couldn't imagine being this happy again. Mark nodded. After Caitlin died, I thought that part of my life was over. That Emma and I would just survive. And now? Now I know better, he said, taking her hand. Now I know that hearts can heal and grow in ways you never expect. Olivia leaned her head against his shoulder. I used to hate it when people called my accident a blessing in disguise, or said everything happens for a reason. As if becoming paralyzed was somehow worth it because it made me stronger. That's a terrible thing to say to someone, Mark agreed. But lately, I've been thinking, she continued. Not that the accident was good, but that good things can grow from terrible circumstances. If I hadn't been in that wheelchair at the park that day, we might never have met, Mark finished. Exactly. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the stars together. I have something for you, Mark said finally, reaching into his pocket. He pulled out a small velvet box. Olivia's breath caught. Mark. He opened the box to reveal a simple but elegant diamond ring. I know we haven't been together that long, but when you know, you know. Olivia Bennett, will you marry me? Tears filled her eyes as she nodded. Yes, she whispered. 1,000 times yes. As Mark slipped the ring onto her finger, Olivia pulled him close for a kiss. I never thought I'd find someone who could see past the wheelchair, she admitted. And I never thought I'd find someone who could help me live again, not just survive, he replied. I guess we both got lucky. Their wedding was planned for the following spring, a small ceremony in the community garden near their new home. Emma was ecstatic about being the flower girl, practicing her petal-throwing technique for weeks in advance. The night before the wedding, Olivia found Emma sitting alone on the porch swing, unusually quiet. Mind if I join you? Olivia asked, maneuvering her wheelchair alongside the swing. Emma nodded, making room even though there was no need. Wedding jitters? Olivia asked gently. Kind of, Emma admitted. I was thinking about my mom. Olivia's heart tightened. That's completely normal, sweetheart. I don't remember her very well anymore, Emma confessed, her voice small. Just little things, like how she smelled like vanilla and how she used to sing me to sleep. Those are beautiful memories to hold on to, Olivia said. Do you think she'd be mad that you're going to be my new mom? Olivia took a deep breath, choosing her words carefully. I never knew your mom, but from everything your dad has told me about her, I think she loved you more than anything in the world. Emma nodded. She did. And when you love someone that much, all you want is for them to be happy. I think she'd be glad that you and your dad are happy, even if she can't be here with you. Dad says I can call you Mom if I want to, but I don't have to, Emma said. That's right, Olivia confirmed. You can call me whatever feels right to you. Emma was quiet for a moment, then asked, Can I call you Mom sometimes and Olivia other times? Olivia smiled, blinking back tears. Of course you can. I think I'll call you Mom tomorrow, Emma decided. At the wedding. Because that's when it becomes official. I'd be honored, Olivia whispered, opening her arms. Emma climbed carefully into her lap, mindful as always of Olivia's legs. They sat together on the porch, watching fireflies emerge in the gathering dusk. Mark found them there a while later, Emma now asleep against Olivia's shoulder. Everything okay? He asked softly. Olivia nodded, her eyes shining with unshed tears. Everything is perfect. The wedding day dawned clear and bright. The community garden was transformed with simple decorations, wildflowers in mason jars, twinkling lights strung between trees, and an arch of greenery where Mark waited for his bride. Olivia had chosen a dress that complemented rather than hid her wheelchair, an elegant ivory gown with delicate lace sleeves. Her chair was decorated with the same wildflowers that adorned the garden, turning it into part of the celebration rather than something to be minimized. As the small gathering of friends and family took their seats, Emma appeared at the garden entrance, resplendent in her flower girl dress, scattering rose petals with careful precision. When she reached the front, she took her place beside Mark, slipping her small hand into his. The music changed, and all eyes turned to watch Olivia enter, propelling her wheelchair with confident grace down the petal-strewn path. Mark felt his breath catch at the sight of her, radiant, strong, and entirely herself. When she reached him, he knelt down to be at eye level with her, taking both her hands in his. You're beautiful, he whispered. So are you, she replied with a smile. The ceremony was brief but heartfelt. They had written their own vows, promises that acknowledged their unique journey and the challenges they had overcome to find each other. Mark, Olivia said, her voice clear and steady, I promise to face whatever comes our way with courage and honesty. I promise to never take for granted the family we've built. And I promise to remember, every day, that love isn't about finding someone perfect, it's about finding someone who makes the imperfect journey worthwhile. Mark squeezed her hands, his own voice thick with emotion. Olivia, I promise to be your partner in all things, to celebrate your independence while offering my support. I promise to continue building a life where obstacles become opportunities. And I promise to show you, every day, that love isn't diminished by challenge, it's strengthened by it. When it came time for the rings, Emma stepped forward with the cushion, beaming with pride at her important role. By the power vested in me, the officiant said, I now pronounce you husband and wife. As Mark leaned down to kiss his bride, their guests erupted in applause. Emma bounced excitedly beside them, unable to contain her joy. The reception was held in the same garden, a casual celebration with food prepared by friends, music playing from portable speakers, and children running between tables. Olivia moved among the guests in her wheelchair, her new husband often at her side but giving her the space to navigate independently. As evening fell, the garden lights twinkled overhead, and someone called for the first dance. Mark had been practicing for weeks, working with a dance instructor who specialized in adaptive movement. The dance floor cleared as Mark took his daughter's hand, then wheeled Olivia to the center. Tears glistened in his eyes as they began their choreographed routine, father, daughter, and new mother moving in harmony. Mark knelt down, meeting Olivia at eye level, their foreheads touching as they swayed together while Emma danced around them, occasionally joining their circle. There wasn't a dry eye among the guests as they witnessed this family's love story, not a tale of overcoming disability or tragedy, but of finding connection despite life's unexpected turns. Later, as the celebration continued around them, Mark and Olivia found a quiet moment together beneath a flowering tree. "Happy?" he asked, sitting on a bench beside her wheelchair. "Beyond words," she replied. "Though I keep thinking about what Emma said this morning." "What was that?" "She said, today we become a real family. And I told her we already were, that the ceremony just makes official what we already knew in our hearts." Mark smiled, taking her hand. "Smart kid. She gets it from her father," Olivia teased. "And now from her mother too," Mark added softly. Olivia's eyes filled with tears. "She called me Mom today, right before the ceremony." "I know," Mark said. "She told me she was going to." They sat together in comfortable silence, watching Emma twirl on the dance floor with her friends, her face alight with joy. "You know," Olivia said thoughtfully, "when people see us, they probably think our story is about overcoming obstacles, your grief, my wheelchair. Isn't it?" Mark asked. She shook her head. "I think it's simpler than that. I think it's about recognizing that everyone is incomplete in some way, and finding someone whose broken pieces fit with yours." Mark leaned over to kiss her. "When did you get so wise?" "Wheelchair comes with complementary wisdom," she replied with a laugh. "Haven't I told you that before?" As they rejoined the celebration, Mark reflected on their journey. From that chance meeting at a playground to this moment of profound joy, their path had been unexpected but perfect in its own way. What had begun with, "Sorry, I'm in a wheelchair," had transformed into something beautiful, not despite their challenges, but because of how they had faced them together. In the end, their story wasn't about a wheelchair or single parenthood or financial struggles. It was about two people who had stopped waiting for life to be perfect before allowing it to be beautiful. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more stories that celebrate the unexpected ways love finds us. Remember that sometimes life's most beautiful chapters begin with what seems like an ending. Share in the comments if you've experienced a moment where an apparent obstacle led to something wonderful in your life.